Yeah, man. I get tired of talking about politics, talking about the left, incels, son, groups of people just nobody likes. It's tiresome, and my channel is, well, it was supposed to be more chill and relaxed than the usual YouTube algorithm. So it goes without saying, spoiler warning, I'm showing off, gameplay footage as you can see here. To emphasize my emphasis on the topic. So I want to write off Elden Ring, like the original game, as just another Souls-like because, by that time I was getting tired of the formula myself a little bit, and I didn't really know like how much more, like even though it was an open world, like that would just add to it. So I didn't get it on release. But, it turned out to be like the easiest game, Elden Ring of all the other games. So like for me, it took I want to say like 10, 20 hours for me to like, actually get into it and like beat the campaign and like, upgrade the weapons and like mind you, I was doing this like a lot from like watching other YouTube videos like people playing through it and like finding like these like crazy shortcuts and like, secrets and stuff. So I didn't play it naturally. I didn't play it organically because I knew like just like Demon Souls, it was just going to be a slog, and I didn't really like Demon Souls all that much. So I hesitated on Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2. I went in blind and I played it. It was pretty nice. It wasn't easy because like before they patched it, like the enemies had like this crazy lock on, so it didn't matter where you dodged and stuff, they would always hit you. So it's pretty like, if you're up against like certain enemies, they would always, kill you basically, right? And then Dark Souls 3, I got it much later because I got a PlayStation 4, pretty late, like 2019. And yeah, my first, two games were, Sekiro and then Devil May Cry 5, and then I got Monster Hunter like World. And then much later when it went on like sale and stuff, I tried out Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne and etc., right? So yeah, I've been around the series for quite some time, and like the evolution from that to this is profound because who would have thought like verticality would have added so much to a game like this? Because like I just can't see myself going back and playing like the previous games, right? And even like in the old Elden Ring before like they patched out a lot of the stuff, like you could do some crazy things like you could put like blood flame on your weapon and then do like fire within, and then like you could just set people like on fire just by walking on them, but then like it also makes them bleed, and then when you attack them it stacks as well, so it just like constantly like gives them like tons of bleed. But then again, like, so everybody like spoke about rivers of blood. I purposefully try not to use that in Moonlight because I like katana swords a lot, and I kind of abused using them in Dark Souls 2, and I just kind of ruined the experience for myself. Although like katana swords are pretty cool, especially in this game, because the character that you get to use with them, the executor, everybody calls him the executioner, so whatever. Call him whatever you want. I call him Ninja Guy. Yeah, he uses katanas and he has his own move list, which is really good. And it's actually kind of a throwback to Dark Souls too. Like it has, the very strong tracking. It has the delay in his actions. It's very they did a really good job with it. Like he has his own heavy running attacks. He has everything, and it's really cool. Like, oh, I'm sorry for gushing about. Gotta get back on topic. So like, and in the old game, like before they patched it out, you can like pretty much call the meteor storm in on a boss and just like melt them, or like as everybody would do, like the Kamehameha, aka the comet of Azure, and just take away all of his life. um, but I had one issue with the previous game of Elden Ring, not this game, Nightreign, which was like the armor sets made my character look a certain way, you know what I mean? Like you'll see this with like the characters in this game. Not like all of them. Some of the characters are actually really cool, like the Sanguine Nobles and stuff. But like most of the characters in this game, like these knights, they have a very generic look to them, and it extends to pretty much all the knights in the kingdom. So like once you've seen those knights, you've seen the knights in the other four kingdoms as well. So from Godric's to Radon's to Rykard to I don't think well Karia has one, but I don't think Lindell has well they're technically the Royal Knights, but like Rykard has like the Yellow Knights. He was the Royal Knights or whatever you want to call it. So it's like everyone's just like wearing, some kind of robes or some kind of like wizard robes or just like it's not very it's very classic for the time. Like people from this time period will most likely wear clothes like this, but I don't feel as if like I feel as if I'm some heroic hero going out adventuring and stuff. I feel as if I'm wearing like, what my character could get his hands on. Like I'm just scavenging, if you will, right? And yeah, like some people like will argue with me that like over the original Elden Ring fashion. That's fair. That's fair. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, and I don't have the final say in that. But like if you're watching my review and like like care about my opinion, like in my opinion, one I saw the armor sets for just the base characters, not this is a custom skin that I'm using for the raider, right? When I saw the base skins for all the characters, I just wanted the game. Like I just wanted, because I'm like, how are you gonna have a game like Elden Ring, like an open world game, lots of characters, you're riding on horseback or whatever, and you can't make your character look cool. I also wanted horse armor for my horse because it's like I feel bad every time, Torrent, your horse gets hit with arrows, because it's like it's being controlled by you, but like the horse is getting hit by the arrows because of it's your fault. So just to like make it so that when we're going on adventures together, if we gotta get into harm's way and stuff, right? Well, that's kind of what I wanted out of Shadow of the Urge Tree, but like they wanted to like finalize the story and like expand it in different ways, and it's a good game. Don't get me wrong, but I find that Shadow of the Erdtree misses in the sense that it doesn't really introduce that many stylish armor sets. Like I like Horn Sense, I like Ansbach. I don't really know too much about Thiolier's. Like it's really well made, but I don't know. Like it's not 100% for me. I don't think it's like bad though. I think it's the headpiece is nice. Like it's well done enough, so I'm not gonna complain. But what I will say, right, is that it left a taste in my mouth. Like, okay, my biggest issue, and I know that I'm just bringing this up out of nowhere, is in the original game you will come across these guys called the Vulgar Militia, right? And this was before when I first got the game. I did not check any guides. I wanted to play the game blindly to just have, form my own opinion about it because I'm like, okay, this is going to be a difficult game, but at least let me try to like, play and beat it on my own terms and stuff. So that way I can, you know, get better at it and then like, have a better based opinion rather than just like, breeze through it and find like a really good weapon and stuff. And I came across a bunch of, difficulty spikes to say the least. But, I had a lot of fun with it. It's great, the ability to jump, the ability to like attack into chains, and then like it ends off in an attack chain. It's like a huge difference. I think it's like a carryover from Sekiro, to be fair, where like you're not doing like to be fair, actually I think the first game that did it was Bloodborne, where you'd have like a really long attack string, so like a 4 or 5 hit attack, combo, as opposed to like just the swing left to right with most Dark Souls games with the swords and stuff. You just have first attack, second attack, right? I mean, in this game, you have heavy attacks, and they just come out with two, but you can charge them, and they have like different animations and whatever, right? But see, all the changes that they made in this game, in the Elden Ring engine, was always meant to be played in a more heroic sense. Like you're free to roam from place to place, but they always had to even now put you into a dungeon and make you fight like a monster and stuff, which is fair. That's like the what the franchise has always been known for. But I find you see like a lot of enemies out in the world that you can just fight at your own leisure, which you kind of could have did in the old Elden Ring as well. But yeah, this game really has the whole adventure aspect where you feel like your character is more or less an extension of your own capabilities and stuff, and it does away with the extensive I wouldn't say cumbersome weaponry, because the only thing I think Elden Ring lacked that the older games had was even though you can enchant your weapons with certain kinds of stones to give it elemental properties, which was the same as actually it pretty much is the same as the old Souls games. I don't know exactly what it's missing, but I feel as if the biggest missed opportunity in the game, right? So when I first got the game, Elden Ring, I don't know if I finished my other point, but I'm just gonna get on this tangent, right? Oh no, I didn't finish my other point. So the Vulgar Militia, right? Yeah, this is why this review is going to be 46 minutes. The Vulgar Militia use this special kind of weapon, the like a sickle and with a chain, and then the other side has a hook, and it's they use it. It's they call it Kusari Gama in Ninja Gaiden. So I don't know if it has an actual, if it's actually called that in Japanese or whatever. But yeah, I farmed this weapon for, I kid you not, 3 hours, right? Because I so badly wanted it. If you open, in the beginning of the first level, if you go to the back of this, caravan, and you open up this casket, there's, a flail in it. And I'm like, oh, there's chain weapons in it. So I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. So I see this, excuse me, I see this NPC with this weapon. Obviously, I'm going to be farming for it. So I literally got the entire armor set for the Vulgar Militia, multiple pairs of pants, multiple pairs of gloves, a couple of shirts, and no weapon. And I was going crazy because I was attacking all the different types of Vulgar Militias, and I was getting their specific weapons, like the Vulgar Militia halberd and the other, hook sickle thingy, right? Uh, I think they're both pole arms, and I was just like, okay, this isn't gonna get me what I want. I'm just gonna go specifically for the guys out in not Fair Missoula, the Beast, not Priest, Grank's little chamber thing, where you get transported when you speak to that guy, that NPC, D, and you have to join the whole I hunt people in the dead, and you gotta talk to Grank and do his whole quest line of getting the death roots and stuff. It's a pretty interesting quest line to say the least, but I wish I knew, dude, that they don't drop the weapon at all. Like, to say that I'll be disappointed. It's kind of like when you see those other enemies, well, the monks, the fire monks and the black flame fire monks, and they both have that sword. Do you know that there's only one person, that one NPC in the entire game that drops that weapon? So it's actually a weapon. I didn't think it was actually a weapon, and I looked it up. No, you have to go into specifically this one cave and fight this specific one enemy that has it. and nobody else. Even if they have the weapon. And I don't even know if that's the case with this weapon, the Kusarigama or whatever. And if like there's this special NPC that you fight somewhere, and then like by killing him and farming specifically just him, you get it. Like if FromSoft is just that cryptic, and they would put that in the game just to mess with people, and you wouldn't know because like the drop rate is super low, and it's only that one specific enemy. But no, no, honestly I have to bring that up because it pissed me off. I looked up online, it wasn't in the game, and then I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe they just didn't know how to program it. And then I fast forward, the expansion comes out, right? And I see Volga Militia, and they come back. They have a brand new armor set. It's like, oh, the Shadow Volga Militia, right? And like their eyes are glowing, they look all cool and stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. Wonder what kind of new weapons they have. No new weapons. None. They didn't even add the Kusarigama back in. Yep. I paid money for that. That's so disappointing. So disappointing, man. But yeah, like in this game though, the possibilities are just like endless. Obviously, like I'm just speaking on like a custom move set for a katana sword, but that's not the only one. You have a custom move set for the dagger, for great hammers, great axes, and colossal weapons. Not colossal swords. I get confused with that sometimes, but specifically the Raider has a custom moveset, and the custom moveset actually, despite the fact that not a lot of people like it, if you use it one-handed, it actually does a lot of stance damage. Like you don't necessarily need to two-hand it. Like I use it one-handed, and I find a lot of success with the one-handed moveset custom to the Raider. But again, like using these weapons, specifically, curves. Sorry, not curve great swords. Great axes, great hammers, and colossal weapons are on the slower side. And even though people there's this like YouTuber I subscribe to named Yui. He's like really hardcore into like Elden Ring, and he'll say like frame data wise that the great hammers and the great axes have a faster moveset than the Raiders moveset. So like he's probably right about that. To be fair, like it does do a lot of stance damage, specifically on colossal weapons. I'm not so sure. Like I think like colossal weapons and hammers, I have a lot of success with axes. I haven't great axes specifically. I haven't used them that much, but I'm pretty sure it might be the same case, right? But the Executor has, his custom moveset with the katana. The Judges has her custom moveset with the dagger. And oddly enough, the Guardian, and like a lot of people don't like the Guardian, and that's like the class that I first started playing. And he's a little hard to get into. Like, I think the Guardian is a good character, but you need to find really good relics for this guy. Like, you need to find relics that cool his ultimate down so he can, do it more often. You need to find relics that give him the ability to get his ultimate from guarding. Because his ultimate not only will, rescue people from like, if they're like, 2 or 3 bars, like they've, been KO'd like, 2, 3 times, so they have to, take a little bit more to like, revive them. It's an instant revive with him, but it can also like if you hold it down, they're invulnerable. You can get like a relic that he uses that you can passively heal them a little bit. I haven't tried that out, so I don't know how much it heals, if it's worth it or not. But like if someone's KO'd, right, and they don't have to use a potion, and because you're just like basically heal them to full health. It's just like the relic that you get from with Revenant, except she has to like lose some health, so she loses some of her HP, and then she can revive people at full HP. So it's a bit of a risky situation when you're gonna put yourself in harm's way with one of the weaker characters, whereas a tanky character like Guardian with like a ton of HP, the ability to block with like a great shield and stuff, and this and that, right? Like. It's like it's semantics, but it's also like necessary in a game like this because I find that Elden Ring, and I said this in my other videos, that once you've cleared out most of like the enemies in a room and stuff, like yeah, you can like sit at a grace, this game's version of a bonfire to like reset them all. But like it's just like you're doing the exact same thing over and over again. To keep it fresh, you need a little bit of randomization, and I think that like the developers or like some of them on the development team had at least played or seen some of the mods, like the randomization mods, and this is like very much like Fortnite. I never actually played Fortnite, and it took a while for me to get used to it, but it's also like very frantic. Like I highly recommend anybody who is very interested in this game, like myself, to invest in a game controller where you don't have to press your L3 button down, make basically your left joystick down, because you're going to be doing that a lot. A lot. And I'll explain. In this game, I don't know if they nerfed the run speed or something, like when you hold circle and your character starts running. But they introduced a new sprint mechanic in this game, right? So instead of crouching, where you normally would press L3 and your character will go crouch, prone, what? No, like you crouch, not prone, sorry, and lower their detection and like help them sneak by and get backstabs more easily. They replaced it with a sprint feature, and at first you think it's a gimmick. No, you need to be doing this like all the time, all the time. Like, and the thing I hate about it, and I gotta complain about it in like a spoiler review of this game, is that when you're sprinting and then you fall down from like a high enough like position or whatever, like ledge, whatever, like your character stops sprinting as he hits the ground. I want them to change that. It's kind of annoying, but like yeah, you're gonna be pressing the button over and over and over and over and over again because even in combat to avoid some of the attacks, it's great. It's kind of like if you can have like a torrent on command, if you will. Like if you have stamina bar, you can sprint with the speed of torrent at will just by pressing the L3 button. But it's a little too like effective. Like it works a little too well, right? Like I find that I tend to, at to my detriment because it wastes a lot of stamina, use the sprint attack to get my running attacks off because once you're sprinting, you're running, whatever, then you can do your running attacks. So like I find that like sprinting helps me close the gap eat more easily and then like get off that like damage and stuff because this game being very fast paced, sorry, it caters to that. So like yeah, it's one of the limitations that I found that like when trying to enjoy this game fully is that at least for a person like me, like pressing the L3 button over and over and over again is just it's the way the game is meant to be played. But I guarantee you, if I keep doing this to my base PlayStation 5 controllers, it's gonna get wrecked. It's gonna get destroyed. But other than that, like, the other main difference is the ability to climb ledges. Oh my goodness, dude! Like, the way you would interact with like platforming in other Souls games was so cumbersome and annoying. Like, you have to make sure you jump onto the ledge, and if you didn't have those perfect jumps, you just fall. That's it. So either you make the jump or you don't. See, in this game, if you tap the jump button enough times, you can push yourself up off the side of the ledge, and if keep doing it, you can pull yourself up over the ledge, and then boom, your locomotion, you're moving, right? Whereas, the other games, they just didn't have that kind of feature. Now, do I want to change them to change it into a more modern version, like the modern game version where you have your character, they see a ledge, you jump, your character doesn't make the jump, but they're just like hanging off the ledge. Maybe a bit of both, like a bit of that and a bit of this. if you will. But I very much like the, watch this. You see these like rocks and stuff. If you find like a place that you could just, start jumping off of, right? Like I'll see this wall, or maybe I'm just gonna go mine for some. Never mind. I'm just gonna go check some nothing, nothing. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just gonna go like attack the boss now. But yeah, like the movement in this game is just like very very frantic. If you see walls and ledges and like whatever, you could just jump on top of them and jump over them. You can even jump on enemies sometimes, but I find that to be unreliable and like you mostly just push them back. Like when your character especially is in full sprint and stuff, they have this ability to like automatically shove certain like lighter characters backwards and like flinch them a little bit, which is pretty nice. Like also, what was I gonna say? Yeah, like the thing that I think most people don't like about this game that they liked about Elden Ring was the idea of finality. So if you like farmed for something and you got it, it was basically yours forever, right? And you never had to like, get it back again. So like, and they always had like that same property to it. See, in this game, like you have different properties to different, weapons and stuff. So sometimes you'll have weapons that will like, heal you when you attack, right? But you have to keep them in your hand or in your offhand. So that's the limitation. So if you want to have like one weapon and a shield, well, now you have to pick which weapon that you're going to use, and does it have like the aforementioned skill that you want? Or another one I really like, especially with this character, is successive attacks negate damage. So when you do a certain amount of attacks, you'll see this like circle force field orb that surrounds your character, and then you get hit once, and it reduces your damage for like I don't know 50% or something like that or more. And it's really cool because if you use like lighter weapons, smaller weapons, fists, like you can just keep regenerating it and just go psycho on your enemies, kind of like I wish you could in the base game, but it was very much I found the original game a dodge roll heavy affair. Now mind you that you're gonna get a lot of that in this game as well, but I find that you have a more safe option, at least with most characters. So I would say Wilder, Raider, Guardian, and Duchess are safe to play behind shields because they have the stamina, and then at least with Duchess, she has like the ability to chain dodges together, and she wastes like no stamina when she dodges, so she can like space like really well. But like other characters like the Recluse and the Revenant, I don't know how well they manage with like great shields, but I find the most success I have with at least the Revenant, I mean, sorry, not the Revenant, Recluse, was casting spells in tandem. So I'll have like one element in one hand, one element in the other, and then I'll just like just cast spells and use the combinations to create whatever I want. But like I find that like using shields in this game is actually it's pretty cool. Like there's powers, or you can heal when you successfully guard. You have enhanced power counters, and like they added like special effects that when you do like guard counters, like if you get like rewards from beating certain enemies, you can get like a guard counter that basically does Wrath of Gold on like guard counter, or like it's still useful, but like the one with the dead people, and like the three skeletons come out and they like attack you, like three ghost skeletons come out and then they just disappear. That one's pretty cool. But like there's one where you like when you roll you get lightning. I always find that I get those at the very like end towards the final boss. I wish I could get them in the beginning of the run, but it's like no, you get it at the very very end. I gotta play the game more, but like that's what makes it so addicting. It's like, to be fair, I've sunk in. I just checked it. I thought it was like 200 hours. No, I only sunk in like 156 hours. So I have like a long way to go. And like this game has only come out, what was it, like 3 weeks ago? 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So like yeah, I could introduce a thing here and there as spoilers or whatever. Oh shit, I caught crabs on the bear. But like it's more or less like, you know, I wouldn't say mainstream at this point, but I think that a lot of people who wanted to play it played it, and a lot of people who didn't want to play it or couldn't find success playing it. Like, if I were to venture a guess as to what their problem was with the game was, at least with me, this is what it was with me, right? So I picked a character class, right? Not, knowing what all the stats were and like, what weapon to pick for what character. And I would just pick whatever weapon I wanted to pick up. I would, just do whatever felt good, right? Oh, this weapon did this weapon did that, and meanwhile I wasn't doing as much damage as I would with like the weapons that my character was supposed to use, right? Or like that scaled better with my character stats, right? So like the raider here has a S class in strength, so he's just really good with clubs, axes, hammers, colossal weapons, like really good with them. But any other weapon, and oddly enough, like great bows. But any other weapon, he's very mediocre with them. Like he's just not doing as much damage as the other ones. Whereas Wilder, he could just pretty much pick up every weapon in the game, and do like a lot of damage with them. But if we're being specific, right? The Duchess like has her own custom combo with the dagger, and the what do you call it? The Iron Eyes has, his mechanics with the bow. I don't really call that comboing. I just like he has the easiest time using the bow. And the Guardian has like a custom combo with every single halberd in the game, where he treats them like spears. And at first, I used to think like, ah, this is like such a letdown. Like, I like the tree spear halberd, and I like no, yeah, the sword spear halberd, right? And I like which is basically the same moveset as Loretta's sickle, as the same moveset as like Romuna's whole blade, which is like the diagonal swipes and stuff. So I wrote it off at first, but then I realized he can guard, poke and attack behind this shield with halberds. So that's pretty cool. Like, mind you, right? Like they didn't introduce any of the weapons from Shadow of the Erdtree in the game yet. And when I first got the game, I thought I was going crazy because when I was playing with the Executor, I could have swore I came across great katanas. But I was like, I already upgraded this one katana that I was using, so I didn't switch to it. But no, I was just like, I don't know what it was. I think I was just like, into the world, into the game, and I was just like, losing myself to like everything that I was seeing. But I honestly thought when I first got this game that the stuff from Shadow of the Erdtree would be inside of it, or just, at least some of it. But then I thought, as I played this game, like why that wasn't the case, and yeah, balancing that would be a nightmare. But most likely, that's most likely what the DLC is gonna be, or like more or less like what like the new content is going to be. I think the DLC actually might be like brand new content, like throwbacks to older games like Dark Souls 2 or 3 or even 1 or even Demon Souls. Like, the limitations that you would get from like something like Elden Ring, where you have it's written by J.R.R. Martin. He wants to have like this very concise storyline. Everything and everyone has like their place in it. And once it's like, it's over, the story's done. The book is closed, right? Whereas a game like this, it's a gamer's game. It's like, yeah, you're playing the fantasy world of, Elden Ring and like, all the characters in it. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you see, the Nameless King. And he has a name in this game, by the way. I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah, if you play this game and you do specifically the Raider, my character that I'm using, you do his remembrance quest, you can learn the name of the son of Gwyn, who got his name taken away, but he still remembered it. He just never used it that much. But like, it's also like how I see like this combat being more like what the next iteration of Souls like is going to be, because I don't see them like the silly nature of like seeing like a little ledge or a hill that your character you know yourself in real life. Like if you were there, you can probably jump over it, but then you have this character that can jump, but they can't jump over it because it's like I don't know the your character just can't climb, right? So like to have the the little jumping, I call it, you know what I would like, it reminds me a lot of Mega Man X, you know? When you have that wall jumping and you're just jumping off the wall like that, doing that little hopping thing. It's a lot like that. Oddly enough, like and like to people who understand that reference, yeah, I think that like it should be like that plus a mixture of like grabbing off of ledges and stuff, like in like dire situations when you run off of a ledge and your character's like literally falling, like maybe if your character isn't carrying two things in both hands, like they can just like grab onto ledges and stuff. It's like a mechanic in the game. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, what else? Nightreign. Like the bosses are really well done. Some of them are a lot easier than others, naturally. But oh, excuse me. No. Yeah, I've been talking like for forever, but like yeah, this is how I like to make my content. Like just off the top, all in one take. So yeah, like I was saying, like the bosses are really well done. The music is phenomenal. Like if you get this game and you're like you think that like these games are low quality and stuff, I want you to find like a musical track on par with this because I just don't I just don't see it. Like it just sounds so nice. Like all the songs in this game, like just they blow me away. They're just so great. But to be a little bit on the negative side, it does get a little repetitive. The mini boss music that plays when you get to the mini boss in the middle of the stage. Like let's say you go in the middle of a camp and you have to fight like the captain of the knights or like the lion boss, or it just plays the same music over and over and over again. I wish they would like add a little bit more differentiation between the music tracks in that sense. Not that the song is bad, it's just like once you've heard it once, you're gonna be hearing it a lot because you're gonna go from camp to camp to camp, and like yeah, you're gonna hear that the same violins, the same cello. Now let's discuss what I want to be added. Excuse me, to this experience, and it is the following. First of all, I want more stuff from Dark Souls 2. I want the Suspicious Shadow skin for the Duchess, and I want the Alone Knight, not Sir Alone, even though most people would prefer that. And I don't really hate Sir Alone that much. I just prefer the Alone Knights and the Alone Knight Captains over, you know, a Sir Alone, right? But, I'm pretty sure that, like, because he's a named, character versus just the generic knight character, he'll most likely get the skin, but I prefer the Alone Knight skin. That's what I want. For the Raider skins are perfectly nice, fine for me. I have yet to find one bad one. Like all of them are really well done. You have Havel, you have Sigurd, you have all of his base skins are great. You have his Remembrance skin; it's also great. Like no complaints. Like if anything, You know what he should have? He should have the Dark Souls 3 Viking skin. You know, the guys with the gigantic hammers and stuff, and shoot the great bows. And like, yeah, those guys who like jump like really, really high. And like super strong. They have the antler heads, like the antler helmets. Yeah, that one's pretty cool. For the Raider, that would be pretty good, cool. Uh, for the, and I'm only saying this because it's a popular pick. I don't really care, but everybody seems to like the Crimson Sand pyromancer sorceress. Uh, like it's very popular. The wrap that she has, where she has the hoodie and then she has like the little skirt and whatever. It's very popular. Like everyone loves that one. So maybe that should be another recluse skin. Um, for the Guardian. Guardian, wow. I cannot believe they left Velka, the Velkan Knights out. And like his darkness skin kind of looks like that, and I get that Velkan Knights were technically females, so it wouldn't make sense. But I was thinking maybe the from Dark Souls 3, the what do you call it? The rapier looking like Corvian Knights. That skin, because it makes sense, you know. Because he can also do like guard pokes behind the shields and stuff. Even though like it's more of a dexterous character. Maybe like the quills and the rapier weapon isn't like fitting for the Guardian, but I think it's a cool skin. I just think it was kind of sad actually when Dark Souls 3 like I got the DLC and I thought that like maybe that character would have an armor set. Unfortunately, it did not. Who else? Oh, okay. So Wilder, where we can go from with Wilder. Yeah, 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 yeah. So grappling hook. Obviously, people are gonna say Sekiro. Like, but yeah, do they own it though? Does like FromSoft own it 100% and not none of it belongs to Activision, the publisher? Because in a perfect world, yes, Sekiro, yes, obviously, absolutely, no questions, no question asked. Okay, fine, you can't have Sekiro, fine. How about Raido from what was that game? The name of that game again? Like, okay, whatever. I forget the name, but it's like that FromSoft game on Xbox alone. And actually, I haven't played it myself. I've seen gameplay footage of it, and yeah, that guy from that game, and he has like his magical sword, and it's like a character, who's flies around and stuff, and he has that cool hat and the like Bishiamon armor on his shoulder pads. Um, for the Night Eyes, oof. Actually, I don't know who should have the suspicious shadow. I think it's a better fit on Duchess though because you see a suspicious shadows. They should be doing like the cartwheel dodges, not the regular ones. And and I know I'm just rambling about like skins I should see on characters, but like it adds so much more to the game. Like there's not too much problems I have with game, like I said previously. Like some of the music is repetitive. Sometimes the bosses or like enemies, like especially the bigger ones, will like clip through the ground, so it gets annoying. You have to do the like special critical attack and you can't do it because the terrain's in the way. um, what else? What else? What else? I want. Okay, and I only got like 2 minutes on this review left. This is why I made this thing so long. I want a different mode, like for this online portion, right? Because I find that when you're playing this game, even if you play well, you're always gonna encounter people who like to like leave games because they're not doing well or they're upset or they died or something like that. Um, we should have like a ranking system. So it's cool now. It's the game's new and stuff. But as time goes on, just to like make it so that people who are like they play well, like give them like some reward and stuff, and then like they can play with like people who are also in the same rank and like they can rank up and they can get special rewards. Maybe like some different kind of cosmetics, so like to make their character skins like look a different color, something like that. And then the other thing I want, besides the obvious like addition of all the Shadow of the Erd tree, like weapons and stuff, is maybe some new custom move sets. So, like for let's say the Executor, maybe he can get some new custom move sets for great katanas and stuff like that. And maybe, just maybe, bring back some of those crazy weapons from Dark Souls 2. Like, the Bone Fist, the Bewitched Sword, like some more of the experimental weapons that like would still fit into like the whole Elden Ring, Dark Souls ish mechanics, but like would be so cool just to, like have them thrown back, just to see it again, like the sword spear from Dark Souls 3. Well, anyways, thanks for watching my review, and have a nice day. Play Nightreign.